What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to FudgeMuppet. My name is Scott, and today get hyped because we have a juicy video for you. Here at FudgeMuppet, we make many builds for games like Skyrim, Fallout New Vegas, Fallout 4. We also make many lore videos and vids just about the Elder Scrolls in general. But starting all the way back in 2013, our roots began as a Skyrim build channel, and it is what we are known for by many people. Hence, we often get many questions about perks, skills, armor choices, etc. But one prevalent question we get is, what is the most overpowered build, or what is the best perk? Basically, people wanting to optimize the living hell out of their character, making it the best possible. So after hearing this question again recently, I thought it would be an awesome idea to address this question in a video so everyone can see the answer they seek. We are going to be talking about a way to drastically enhance any build, mage, warrior, assassin, all of them using a particular setup with one very notorious and essential perk. This is the best perk in the game, the big winner, the gold, the most sensational perk in the game. I would consider this the best perk mainly because it is so vast in its applications and it can be used to improve absolutely any build. Today I am talking about the Necromage perk, but not only the Necromage perk. I will be talking about everything this amazing perk affects, but also I will be providing some mini builds for you. Certain class setups that demonstrate how you can take advantage of this perk to greatly improve the power of your build. The Necromage perk is a perk in the Restoration skill tree. It requires a Restoration skill level of 70 and you must have two prerequisite perks: Novice Restoration, which halves the Restoration spell cost, and Regeneration, which makes healing spells heal 50% more, both of which are just a really nice set of perks. So obviously to get this perk you will have to invest in and train your Restoration skill, which to be quite honest isn't half bad because I always find having a healing spell always useful. Anyways, you don't have to invest in Restoration perks other than those two, but keep in mind investing in the Apprentice and Adept perks will make using higher level healing spells easier, and using those higher level spells will allow you to increase your Restoration faster, getting to that sweet Necromage perk faster. But that aside, let's assume you're at 70 Restoration skill. What then? What does this perk do for you? Necromage increases the potency of spells by 25% and the duration of spells by 50% against all undead. So on the surface, this perk seems like it would be simply for a damaging undead kind of character, perhaps a paladin or crusader. So why do I need this? Well, to really see the amazing benefits of this perk, you need to yourself become a vampire. This is essential, but unfortunately, if you can't stand being a blood-sucking vampire, this guide won't work for you. But say you are down with the fangs and the glowing eyes, which look cool as beans anyways, you as a vampire are now flagged as undead, which means Necromage applies to you. Now on the surface, it doesn't sound that helpful. Spells that you use on yourself will be stronger, but what if you aren't even a mage? Well, hear me out, because Necromage affects a lot more than just spells. It extends to things like perks, standing stones, enchantments, and even shouts. With the combination of the Necromage perk and a vampire character, you will be able to improve your character in many ways. One of the clearest and most customizable ways is enchantments, which will become stronger when equipped. So for example, you have some robes which increase magic regeneration by 100%. When you equip these robes, Necromage applies and increases the potency by 25%, giving you 125% magical regeneration. Now on the contrary, this Necromage perk vampire combination also does increase the negative effects, namely the weakness to fire, and being a vampire in general does come with some cons. As a vampire, you will have a weakness to fire, which is increased by Necromage, a resistance to frost, which is increased by Necromage, and you will not regenerate health, magic, or stamina in the sun, and they will also be reduced. However, with the power of enchanting, these cons can be completely negated and thrown to the wind by using enchantments like Resist Fire, Stamina, Magicka, and Health Regen, all of which will be far more powerful because of the Necromage perk. The benefits far outweigh the negatives, which can be mostly negated anyways. But how about we have a comprehensive look at all of the things the Necromage perk affects on a vampire character, and remember that I'll go through and show you some build examples and really cool combinations to give you a really powerful character regardless of class, be it mage, warrior, archer, or thief. So First off, there is enchantments, which we already talked about. All enchantments will be increased by 25%, which can already lead to some pretty powerful characters. There are also perks, which have a 25% increase. The Atronach perk in the alteration skill tree normally offers a 30% spell absorption, which now becomes a 37.5% spell absorption. Also in the alteration skill tree is the magic resistance perk, which at rank 3 gives 30% magic resistance, increasing to 37.5% with Necromage. The Snake Blood perk in the Alchemy skill tree usually gives you a 50% poison resistance, however this is increased to 62.5% with the Necromage Vampire combo. Dual Flurry in the One-Handed tree usually increases your dual wield attack speed by 35% at rank 2, which actually increases insanely because of the way it interacts with the weapon speed multiplier. You see, you have a speed multiplier of 1. With Dual Flurry, it becomes 1.35, but with a Necromage increase of 25%, it actually takes 25% of the entire 135, so you end up with a multiplier of 1.69. So effectively, your dual weapon speed has an increase of 69%, increasing your damage per second drastically. Extra Pockets is a perk in the Pickpocket tree, which gives you a carry weight of 100 points extra, but with Necromage, add 25%, giving you 125 carry weight. Then we have Fists of Steel in the Heavy Armor skill tree, which is absolutely essential for any unarmed character without ridiculous exploits. And with Necromage, the bonus unarmed damage from Heavy Armor gauntlets is increased by 25%. Archery has some really sick bonuses. The Power Shot perk usually makes foes stagger when shot 50% of the time, which changes to 62.5% of the time. Steady Hand slows time while zooming in archery by 50% at the second rank. Time becomes even slower with Necromage, and Quick Shot increases bow draw speed by 30%, but because it works off the speed multiplier like Dual Flurry did, the 25% Necromage increase actually comes from a value of 130, making the actual increase of your draw speed 63%, making a vampire with Necromage and a bound bow the fastest possible shot with archery. There is also the Recovery perk from Restoration, increasing magical regen, and the Windwalker perk from the Light Armor, increasing stamina regen, both of which are further increased with the Necromage perk. Avoid Death in Restoration also now heals 312 points instead of 250. So you can already see there are some crazy benefits that just come from perks using the Necromage Vampire combo. However, I should note that you need to get these perks after you get Necromage as a vampire. However, if you didn't get it in that order, you can always use the Black Book in Soul Slime to reset your perks for a skill and retake the perk after the fact. But on top of just the perk effects, there are also standing stones that are affected by the Necromage perk. The Ritual Stone usually only allows you to reanimate corpses below level 75, but now with the Necromage perk you can reanimate higher level undead. The Steed Stone would now give you a carry weight of 125 instead of the usual 100. The Lordstone's armor rating bonus goes from 50 to 62, and the magical resistance goes from 25% to 31.25%, and the Atronach Stone goes from 50% spell absorption to 62.5% spell absorption. And just before we get onto the different build setup suggestions, many spells and shouts are also affected, shouts mainly receiving cooldown reductions and increased durations. The duration of Reanimated Undead and Conjured Daedra are also extended, as Conjuration counts as a spell cast on yourself. So after hearing all of those increased and powerful effects that are brought to you courtesy of the Vampire State with the Necromage perk, you can start to see how this may make for some pretty powerful builds. So what we will do right now is go through some classes and builds and suggest how the Necromage perk can make them far more powerful and how certain combinations result in insanely overpowered builds. So let's get into it. First up, we have the ultimate Blades of Death dual wield DPS build. This setup will get you the most incredible speed dual wielding damage dealer, but in fact you don't even have to have just blades. So for starters, in Skyrim, a neat little trick with dual wielding is that speed is actually determined by the weight of your weapon in the left hand, meaning you can have a chunky ass mace in your right hand and a little light dagger in your left, and you will have insane dual attack speed. So just as an example here, I can use an iron dagger one of the lightest weapons in the game, with a Daedric Mace, one of the heaviest in the game, both enchanted with chaos damage and fire damage, and of course smith to perfection, resulting in a crazy powerful unleash of damage. So always keep that in mind. Put your lightest weapon in your left hand if you're using a mace and a sword. Sword goes in the left. If you're using an axe and a dagger, dagger goes in the left hand. I'm sure you get the idea. Now, of course, as a vampire, with the added benefit of the Necromage perk, you can essentially double the benefit of the Dual Flurry perk, giving you a bonus dual-wield attack speed of 69%. So let's take that Daedric Mace Iron Dagger combo of weapons, apply that with Necromage and the Dual Flurry perk, and you have a crazy insane damage setup. But also, you already have enchanting there with the enchanted weapons, so why not extend that to one-handed damage enchantments on your rings, boots, gauntlets, and necklace, and all those enchantments will have a bonus 25% from the Necromage perk, giving you insane benefits to your damage. Now, next I have to tell you about is a pro tip to basically make any character invulnerable to magic. I love using this setup personally for a defensive battle mage, magic, warrior type character. So what I do is obviously become a vampire. I use restoration, giving me access to healing, helping me tank, and of course the Necromage perk. I also invest in the heavy armor and alteration skills alongside block, one-handed, and smithing. So ultimately I want to strive for a full set of Daedric armor with a Daedric shield and a Daedric axe. If I ever need to use a spell, I can just swap out my axe momentarily for some bonus armor coming from a flesh spell. Now, just with that, we have a tanky ass character, especially pertaining to melee combat, but what about magic invulnerability? Well, this, ladies and gentlemen, is where the alteration perk, Atronach, and the Atronach Standing Stone come in. So like I mentioned before, both of these Atronach effects are benefited by the Necromage perk. So originally, the Atronach Stone offers 50% spell absorption, and the Atronach perk offers 30% spell absorption. This gives you a total of 80% spell absorb, which is neat, and to be honest, will make you very powerful against all magic already, as 80% of all spells will be absorbed by you, adding to your magicka and dealing 0 damage. But take this further with the Necromage perk, and its 25% increase, the Atronach Stone offers 62.5% spell absorption, and the Atronach perk now gives you 37.5 spell absorption, granting you a total of exactly 100% spell absorption. And unlike magic resistance, there is no hidden cap of 85%. With spell absorption at 100%, not a single spell or magical effect from a trap or dragon breath will affect you. You are now 100% immune to magic, and on top of that, you have the best armor, shield, and skill setup to tackle physical threats. You are now unstoppable. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is a beast magic invulnerability setup, best used with some kind of arcane warrior, but of course you can combine the Atronach perk, Necromage perk, and Atronach Stone with any already existing build to receive 100% immunity to magic. But next we got to talk about the Legolas Archer setup, the setup where you can fire arrows faster than anyone in Tamriel has ever seen. First, like all these build setups, you need the Necromage perk and to be a vampire. This should be pretty clear by this point in the video, but if you want to be the single fastest, highest DPS archer in the game, then listen up. I think for this setup, the essentials are of course restoration for Necromage, but besides that you will need conjuration, enchanting, and archery of course. So you will want enchanting to boost the hell out of your archery damage with enchantments, and conjuration reduction costs will be worthwhile as well, so you can focus on stamina over magicka. Basically, all you need conjuration for is the Oblivion Binding perk, which will take the base damage of your bound bow to the equivalent of a Daedric bow's base damage. You can also throw in some summoning to distract your enemies while you pick them off, but it isn't necessary. Anyways, back to the bound bow. We are an archery character, hence the skill, and our bow of choice will be the fastest in the game because it has a weight of 0. We have the bound bow. Also, using the bound bow gives you access to an unlimited number of bound arrows. If you run out, just recast it. So to take this bow to lightning level speed, we will need a neat little perk called Quick Shot from the archery tree, which grants a 30% speed increase. But remember, the Necromage perk increases the potency of this effect by 25%, but because of that fun little interaction with a speed multiplier, it's actually taking 25% from a total of 1.30, giving you an end result speed multiplier of 1.63, meaning that you really got a 63% increase in bow draw speed when you took the Quick Shot perk. So you have that plus Steady Hand, which normally only slows down time when zooming, which will slow down even more with Necromage, allowing you to make some pretty Matrix level bow shots at incredible speeds. It's hands down the best way to set up a combat archer. I would definitely recommend. Vampire mages also earn themselves a massive boost with Necromage. For starters, all of their enchanted rings and robes will receive a 25% boost, so if we have to look at something like the Archmage robes, which are a pretty basic piece of mage gear, they normally give you a 15% cost reduction to all spells, plus 50 magicka and 100% magicka regeneration. Well, now that becomes 18.75% reduction to magicka cost for all spells, a bonus of 62.5 magicka and 125% magicka regen. Then of course you've got your jewelry and the bits with other enchantments, but that's just an example. On top of that, you've also got all the spells that you cast on yourself, which increase in potency and duration. Spells like Dead Thrall can now reanimate high level undead, Conjured Daedra and reanimated undead will last longer, invisibility spells and Muffle will last longer, which also lends itself to a Nightblade or a Thief kind of character. Of course, a Vampire Assassin could use the benefits of archery with Necromage, or a Thief with bonuses of carrying capacity from extra pockets, or even more stamina regeneration with Windwalker. Finally, we have to talk about the best possible unarmed setup in Skyrim, and it's only possible because of the Necromage perk. Now, when you get down to the nitty-gritty, unarmed is underpowered as hell and very hard to use without exploits, but still, without all that, the Fists of Steel bonus with Necromage will help considerably. So be a Khajiit vampire with a Necromage perk, and probably Restoration focus, as you will need to heal a lot, and on top of that, hit up heavy armor, particularly the Fists of Steel perk, get yourself some Daedric gauntlets, and you are good to go. Khajiit in actual fact have 22 unarmed damage to start. On top of that, with the Fists of Steel perk, the armor rating of your Daedric gauntlets will be counted as extra unarmed damage, making it 18 damage, but you have Necromage, so you get 22.5 damage instead, which seems marginal, but considering that there aren't many things that you can do to increase unarmed damage in the game, you will learn to love every extra point of unarmed damage. And then of course there are the unarmed enchantments which you can put on a ring and your gauntlets, which will of course be increased a further 25% by Necromage, making the Vampire Khajiit with Necromage the best possible unarmed character. So hopefully I have made my case loud and clear as to why this is the single best perk in Skyrim, and how the combination of Vampire and Necromage will vastly improve any build, and I have showed you today some cool examples and setups with Necromage that you can now use to decimate your enemies. Honestly, Necromage Vampire is a combo essential to any overpowered build, and I hope you now have fun with these setups. Thanks so much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Give the video a like if you found this enjoyable and useful, and let us know if you want more videos like this. Thanks so much for watching. Social media links are in the description. Comment down below your favorite Necromage Vampire setup or playstyle, and I will be back to nerd out with you again in the next video.